Hey, 4xe fans. I was driving along and thinking about a couple things that have gone on in the community. Well, in the greater Jeep community, I guess here lately. You see comments from time to time that you want to help people understand what they're saying better, and you don't want to be rude about it, but you still want to make sure people understand what it is they're talking about. So the first thing is the Wrangler 4xe. People will refer to e-save as a gas mode, and dealerships do this, and people who own the vehicle do this. And e-save, I have to correct people when they say that it is not a gas mode. The Wrangler 4xe is always a hybrid. There's never a time that it's not a hybrid. What happens when you're running an e-save or hybrid or electric mode, you have to think of that as like a knob, and you're changing the bias of the hybrid system. If you cranked it all the way over to the left, that would be electric mode. It would be highly biased towards doing electric only, but it will still run the gas engine if you hit the gas pedal hard enough. In hybrid mode, of course, it lowers that demand threshold point, but it's still a hybrid. If it's charged up, it is going to run in electric operation, electric propulsion, but it's still a hybrid, especially once the battery gets down to the less than 1% state. That's, when it becomes more like a regular hybrid, an HEV hybrid. But there's never a time when that setting is not a hybrid setting. It changes the bias. E-save is the same thing. It changes the bias to the electric engine, but you still have the hybrid system there. And the reason why that's important to understand is if we operated this vehicle on the gas engine alone, we would lose the horsepower and torque from the two electric motor generators. There's the P1 motor generators out on the front of the engine, and the P2 motor generators in the transmission, right at the front of the transmission. And those are always involved. Those are always available for the vehicle to use. And they are motor generators. They can charge, they can provide horsepower to the vehicle. They can do both, back and forth, back and forth. So there's never a time that they are not involved. And that's why I say there's no gas mode on the Wrangler 4xe. Now, there is an extreme situation where if you lost the hybrid battery, like if it just had a complete catastrophic failure, and the vehicle would go into like a limp mode, it would restrict your speed greatly, but you could operate on the gas engine alone in those situations. And there may be a theoretical point where, let's say you hooked up a 3,500 pound trailer to this vehicle and you started climbing up in the Rocky Mountains. You may reach a point where the hybrid system just cannot continue to charge the electric mode, the electric battery, and there may be a point where the horsepower is reduced to just the gas engine. But those are extreme situations. Putting in an e-save does not put it in a gas mode, so to speak. So there's that misunderstanding. The other misunderstanding, what I see Jeep dealerships do a lot is one, they don't understand what MPGe is versus MPGe, and so a lot of even up recently, I mean, it's been 3.5 years this thing has been on the market, and people still will try to market the Wrangler 4xe as if it gets 49 miles to the gallon, not understanding what MPGe is. And if you don't know what the difference is, MPGe only applies to the Wrangler 4xe when it's under electric propulsion. MPGe is used for electric vehicles. Like if you take the Tesla Model S, or the Model, I think the Model S is rated at like 110 MPGe or something like that, and it's a purely electric vehicle, so that's how they're rated. And there's a whole formula. You can go on Wikipedia and look up MPGe, and you can see all these formulas for all these alternative fuel vehicles. They're not just for electric vehicles. But it applies to the Wrangler 4xe only when it's in electric mode. It's not an MPGe figure, it's MPGe. And there's salespeople and dealerships and marketing that still puts that out there, and I kind of blame Jeep for that, because Jeep marketing will highlight that 49 MPGe as if it's something good. Those of us that understand what MPGe is knows 49 MPGe is actually not good for an electrified vehicle. It's akin to the 20 MPG that the Jeep gets when the gas engine's running and the battery's depleted. It's a rather low MPGe. In fact, I think there's only one is the Hummer EV is rated at 47 MPGe, so it's the only vehicle that is rated at a lower MPGe than the Jeep Wrangler, and it's because it's not aerodynamic. It wasn't built as an electric vehicle, so it just doesn't do really well from an MPGe point of view. But we would expect that. We would expect a low number like that because of the shape of the vehicle and everything, and body on frame and the weight and all that stuff. I mean, you're just not going to get that much efficiency out of this vehicle. And so I kind of blame Jeep for using that number in their marketing, because I think it is misleading that people go, oh wow, 49 MPGe, and they don't realize what MPGe is. A lot of places. I've read this in like auto magazines, and I've read this on dealer websites. They think that it's 49 miles to the gallon combined. They will see that combined that comes from the EPA, and they think that is gas and electric combined, and that's not what that combined means. That combined means city and highway. If you go back 20 years, all vehicles used to come with two MPG figures. They come with a city highway MPG figure. Well, they combined those, and if you go on the EPA website, you can find their test cycle that they do, where they do some high speed, they do some low speed, they do some high speed, they do some low speed. It's very variable. It's not like they just go fast and slow, fast and slow. They go fast for a little while, then they go slow for a little while, then they go fast and they go slow. I mean, it's a change, but you can find, if you look up the EPA test cycle, I think you can find an image that shows you what they're doing. That is what is combined. That's why a lot of vehicles only have one MPG figure these days, as opposed to the two that we were always used to seeing years ago, because they have this combined test cycle. And unfortunately, you have car dealers and auto blog people and all sorts of people that don't understand what's being combined when it says combined. So a lot of bad information has made its way out to a lot of owners and a lot of people just in the industry, that they think that is a combined gas mileage, and that's not what that is. And I've even seen it stated as combined hybrid gas mileage, and that's wrong. That's not what that is. When the EPA did the test on the Wrangler 4xE, they ran it in electric mode to get the MPGe figure, and you do that by figuring out how many miles per kilowatt hour the thing goes, and there's a formula, you plug that in, and that gives you MPGe. And then they ran it, from what I understand, they actually ran the gas mileage part after the battery was completely depleted. My understanding is they actually ran it in eSafe to change that bias strongly to the gas engine to get a more, I don't want to say more pure, but more of a gas mileage, an MPG figure, and that way it forced the engine to run and wouldn't shut off, and that way it would be running the whole time, and it would give them something closer to I don't want to say a gas only, because I've just already talked about why it's not a gas only, but they biased the system to the gas engine. And that's why a lot of us were really surprised that they rated it at 20 miles per gallon, but a lot of us were seeing 24, 25 when, I have a Sahara. It's not stock anymore, but when it was stock with the stock tires, I would get 24 regularly. It's now down around 22. I've got KO2s, like Rubicon takeoffs on the wheels, and I've got a steel bumper on the front, and I've taken off the side steps, and I've got a 2-inch lift. So all of those things will impact gas mileage. So I just wanted to kind of state a few of those things in case anybody has any misunderstanding about that combined figure and all of that. That it's sad that information gets out there. And I'll share this story in closing. When right before the Wrangler 4xE came out, there was a major auto magazine website that posted the title of their story about the Wrangler 4xE was a Jeep Wrangler that gets Prius-like MPGs. And it aggravated me so much that in the auto industry didn't think through what they were saying. They didn't understand that MPGe has nothing to do with MPG. And it would be a miraculous, amazing thing. It would be a novel of engineering if Jeep could figure out how to get a 5,000-pound rolling filing cabinet to get 49 miles a gallon. I mean, they would win the Nobel Prize if they could do something like that. And I wrote the guy who wrote the article, I wrote him, and I said, there's a difference between MPG and MPGe. Now, this is somebody who has written in the automotive industry for years. And I explained to him the difference between MPG and MPGe. Now, keep in mind, at this point, I didn't even own one. I didn't even have one. But I knew it would not get 49 miles to the gallon. That would be a miracle of science and engineering if they could do such a thing. And I wrote him and I said, hey, you might want to correct your article because the Jeep Wrangler 4xE is not going to get Prius-like MPGs. And I explained the difference between MPG and MPGe and what that means. And he wrote me back arguing. And he said, well, that's what their material says. I said, no, read what their material says. Their material says 49 MPGe, 20 MPG. I said, those are two different ratings. And he tried to argue back that they were a combined fuel mileage. And I explained the whole thing about the test cycle, that it's not combining gas and electric, that's combining highway and city. And he finally wrote me back and apologized and said he understood what I was talking about, but he didn't correct the article. He didn't, it was on a website. You could go in there and edit it. You could say, hey, we found this information to be false and we're correcting it. And he didn't do that. And article after article after article has come out over the years. And you can go to dealership websites. I just found one this week. You can go to dealership websites where they have it listed as 49 miles a gallon. And I personally, since I started the Jeep 4xE Fans Facebook group, I have had, I'm going to guess, between 15 and 20 conversations with people who bought the Wrangler 4xE under the understanding that it got 49 miles a gallon. And they wrote me asking, hey, I just got this Wrangler 4xE. I understand you understand a lot about the product. He said, and one of them even said, I drive 120 miles a day, and I bought this for the 49 miles a gallon. And, it breaks my heart. And I didn't even want to type my response to the guy to say, oh my gosh, you have bought the wrong vehicle. And I've had to kind of spill the bad news from multiple people and say, you're not going to get 49 miles a gallon because it's not rated at 49 miles a gallon. It was never rated at 49 miles a gallon. So if you have a chance to have that conversation with people, make sure they understand, especially before they buy, that it doesn't get 49 miles a gallon. And don't be confused with the MPG calculator that's on the dash. You can go and look at some of my other videos where I talk about that and how that works, because they're combining gas and electric energy into one number there. And you can't really call it MPG. Somebody early on in the 4xE Fans group referred to that as miles per gallon watt. It's kind of a silly term, but it kind of encompasses the idea that is putting together both electric and gas into that thing on the dash, and not a true MPG figure. So those are just some thoughts I wanted to share as I was driving along. I don't do lives often, but I thought I would do one, see how it does, and see if it reaches a few people. And sorry if this just kind of blattered on and didn't mean to take up a whole lot of your time, but thanks for watching. Take